Good afternoon, March 28th, Tuesday. And we are closed, and Lululemon is pumping. Up 19, 20, $20, $18, 6% after hours. In true for Are we going? I think we're good. Are we going? Looks like we are live. Yoga pants do not disappoint, that's for sure. That is for sure. Let's see. Man, this thing is on. Never mind. Hold on, let me zoom out. Yeah, it's rips from 289 straight up to 320. Well off the highs, though, which I think are 488. But it's gearing up. It is gearing up. Congrats to them. Micron came out with really, really just not great numbers. But market doesn't care. They dumped it $5, then pumped it $5, and now it is all the way back to unchanged in true fuckery. Yeah, same old market, This week's going to be interesting because PCE comes out on Friday, which will be a huge indicator. That's the Fed favorite for inflation numbers. Oh, the sun just came out. I'm going to get blown out here. Let's see. PCE is their go-to for inflation. That's one they like to go off of. That's Friday, but it's also the end of the first quarter, which usually Monday, Tuesday, you kind of see a big dump in the morning on stocks and then a slow, long trek up. Or you see a big pump in the morning, you see a long, slow trek down. And at the end of the day, it'll reverse. Today was, let's see, big dump, little pump, then a long drawn out sell off, and then pumped it right back. S&P closed down 6 points after being down 30 at one point. It's all tomfoolery, I'm telling you, people. It's all tomfoolery. Ultimately, though, so tomorrow's probably gonna be the same. Thursday, we're gonna start seeing some wacky moves. I suspect. You'll see. Basically, how the end of the quarter usually works is the big funds like to balance out their books. So if you're overweight short banks, you kind of want to lock those gains in, and then you don't want to go into Q2 with a portfolio that's heavily loaded in one big position. My assumption is they'll probably want to show a lot of tech on their books. Nvidia is probably going to be wanted on the books. I know, it's still overvalued. Everybody still hates it. My dog is here. So you'll see some pumps in that. Apple, that's always on the books for everybody, so expect that. Microsoft, anybody exposed to AI, I'm sure is going to get pumped into the end of the quarter so that they are on their books, and then come Monday, kind of dump them. Be a little more speculative all month, or all Q2, because that's just the way they do it. So I would suspect that. Enovix, a healthy pullback, end of the quarter as well. So let's see, actually. This started the quarter. I don't need weekly, thanks. Let's see, Jan. Oh yeah, I had that window dressing at 1275. See, this one's interesting. I don't know what they're gonna do. They'll probably hold it right here. I bet they hold it right here. This thing's been chopping now in this 11 support area, which is fantastic. Just building a giant base. The trend on this one is up. as they come out with more and more news, hopefully good news if they're hitting their marks. This thing is set for a massive Q2 in my opinion. And, we'll see. If they miss, this thing gets probably cut in half again, because then the market's going to think same old BS that you guys were spewing to us at the end of last year with the old CEO. But TJ Rogers is 82 years old, 80 years old, and this guy's buying up millions of dollars of shares. This guy's, he's not doing it to make a quick dollar. The guy's setting up his family. He bought into trust. He set his family up for this thing to go absolutely boomers. And again, you start breaking ground on the Malaysia plant, a little more connection, a couple more partnerships, and this thing can rocket. I think short interest is up in the 20 million shares now. So if they start squeezing this thing, it could go absolutely nuts. I mentioned rum last week, and I'm still a little early catching up on like sentiment on the Twitters, on the stock twits and stuff. But I did notice an early trend. But first off, this thing's up another 7% today, so it's up $1 since I kind of first mentioned it, and that looks like kind of a mid short-term low support area. High 7's about $8. If you look at the daily, this thing looks like it wants to go nuts, which is fantastic. I got a 950 in the short-term target, but again, this is a long-term. This is a very long-term play for me, at least a minimum a year out. My own comments on this one. Steven Crowder is doing amazing numbers, and I have a feeling that trend is going to continue. So it'll be interesting to see. They have earnings this week, which I would assume probably not that good, because a lot of their good news have come in the last half a month or so, maybe a little longer, a month. But the trend is, the revenue trend, everything else, if that continues, their MUAs, their user base, their sign-ups, all this stuff is going to be huge metrics for future, for guidance on this thing. So it should be an interesting one. I do think this thing has massive upside. I actually didn't realize Dan Bongino is like ridiculously long, this thing. 1.3 mil shares. Oh, that's value. 142 shares. 1,000 shares. But Bongino Inc. owns almost 16 million shares. That's a lot. Oh, well, that doesn't make any sense. Strategic entities own 128%. Come on, Interactive Brokers, get your shit together. JP Morgan bought in late February. Just look at the last purchases. The last insider sales, almost all purchases, which is fantastic. Anyways, I think this is a long-term play. This is not, hit it, quit it, get out. This is ride the wave of the pendulum swinging back to freedom of speech. And that doesn't mean they're going to allow people to spew violent hate or pornography or pedophilia or any of that kind of stuff. They do have restrictions, and that's kind of what I'm seeing in the social side of this thing, the social sentiment. And there's a few in particular. I don't name names on here, but there's few people who will hit up this board and just non-stop talk about the political aspect of it all, about oh well, there's so much hate on the site. There's LBTQ plus or what, I don't know. Don't ask me about that stuff. For people, there's a lot of people who are chirping about how it'll never work because of the political ramifications and people need to be silenced on there. My whole thing is we don't need to silence people. I think Rogan actually said it best. I'm not going to even try to quote the guy. But he's basically like, if you silence someone, you're just going to make them angrier, resentful, and they'll probably turn to some sort of violence, whether on themselves or on someone else. If they're really disturbed and you just cut them off and silence them, how is that helpful? That's not helpful at all. If they keep posting and what they're saying is outrageous and dumb, the majority of the other people reading it will see that and know that, and then that person loses all credibility. They have nothing left, and then they can still spew their hate and whatever garbage, but no one's going to listen. They're not going to swaying people to be violent or to hate a certain class. Everybody sees that that person is crazy. And what they should do is reach out and try to help the hate in that heart, not silence it. It's just dumb. The whole idea is dumb. So anyways, I think Rumble is going to allow, serious conversations, whether they're tough or not. There's an old saying that I grew up with an old saying, and it's probably going to date me even more, but remember the old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me? What the fuck happened to that? Now we're more violent, but we can't say anything about each other. It's time we all just grow the spines back because it's outrageous. So anyways, I think the pendulum's swinging back away from the censorship that is YouTube. And, we'll see. I mentioned some minority groups, so maybe we'll see if I get censored on YouTube but not on Rumble, because I post these to both. So I'm getting better numbers on Rumble, interestingly enough. But again, I'm a nobody so far. I did see my Twitter following has gone up a decent, like a 25%. I mean, I only have a few, but everyone counts. So thank you very much. And let's keep that trend going. And please ask questions, follow-ups. If you don't like something, if you love something, please comment. It makes the content better, show better. I can handle words. You can call me a dumbass or I'm wrong or whatever. I don't care if you don't like it. I do. I want you to like it, so I do care, but I can handle constructive criticism and feedback. I can handle it if you hate me. Tell me you hate me in the comments. I don't care. Then let's talk about why, and then let's see if we can come to some sort of mutual agreement, because that's the goal. We need more love and understanding, not more hate and divide. So post whatever you want, and hopefully we can chat it out. Away from that rant. So yeah, I think portfolio managers are going to want, definitely a lot of show everybody that they have a lot of exposure to AI going into the summer months. Not that the summer months makes any difference, but going forward throughout the year, they want to show that they have the exposure to AI, because that's been a big topic. Energy probably down a little bit. Commodities probably down a little bit, but we'll see. It should be very interesting and probably pretty hectic Thursday and Friday. And today we had a big ramp into the close from, last 10 minutes. S&P ran 14 points. I expect something similar to happen at the end of each day. It's going to be a ramp or a dump, but I think 10 points in the last 10 minutes in SPX is probably going to be standard for the next 3 days. And we may even have one or two in there where it does something nuts where it goes 15, 20 points. So just keep an eye out for that. Don't get caught off sides late in the day and then just get smoked, because this market is ruthless. Today we had, I don't know, today was just, it was just a typical rotation week of low volume. Try to bore you to death. Make sure everybody's out of the market, and then it moves. Lulu is just absolutely ripping, up 10, almost 11% now, 350. It's up $34. Micron's now up 35 cents, so half a point. I mean, it's almost already Q2, and these guys are just releasing Q4 numbers. It's like, all right, cool, good job. That's helpful. Let's see. I guess the last thing I'll touch on today is the metaverse. So Facebook obviously changed their name to Meta because they were going all in on the metaverse, and then, this past quarter started cutting massive jobs in the metaverse space, or office of theirs. I don't want to say they completely threw in the towel on the metaverse, but it's clearly not ready. They're not ready to pour the billions into it. They need to get it, one, to a point where people don't get a headache and doesn't look like Furcadia from the late 90s. And two, do enough marketing and get people enough, because the metaverse, I think, is all about the headset and getting inside a different world where you can move around with a joystick or controller or whatever else. You need to be in it, and I don't think the headset adoption is there yet, and I think that's kind of part of the reason why there's been big cuts there for Meta, where if they start making cheaper headsets that are adequate and allows you to get into the metaverse, and the metaverse is like nice and doesn't give you a headache if you're in there moving around, and graphics are good and it's not glitchy, which I think it still kind of is, then yeah, I think the metaverse definitely at least has a market, a pretty big market, but it's just not there yet. And I think they kind of jumped the gun because the headset's not there yet. So, and then Disney today, I think announced, I think it was today or yesterday, I think today, announced they're cutting basically everybody in their metaverse department. So it's like, okay, they kind of jumped on the bandwagon a little bit, like, oh, everybody's talking about Meta, let's get into that space. They'll pump our stock $5 over the next month, and then whatever, pull the rug. So it's just, I just don't think it's ready yet. Do I think metaverse is dead forever? No, but for now, I think it's definitely hit serious roadblocks. And if Meta is backing down and now Disney is backing down, I think we got a while until it's something real. Well, it's a funny term. A market that's real. But so we'll see. And what's interesting is if the biggest, not the biggest, but one of the biggest obstacles for headsets is the size of them, right? It's uncomfortable to wear a giant headset for, a few hours. If you could even, that's part 2 of what I'm about to say, is a giant headset for 2 hours just not comfortable. It's not. I've played, there's like a virtual golf game. I don't even know what it's called, Galaxy Golf or something. I don't know. I've played with my buddies a few times. And I think it's awesome. Like, you look around, you can fly around, do all this cool stuff. And we've played for an hour, however long the headset lasts. When I take it off, like, my eyes don't hurt. I don't have a headache. Like, so that's not the issue. I just think it's incredibly uncomfortable. kind of think if Google Glass came back, I think my light's dying. I'll just leave it off. I think if Google Glass, remember those glasses? They're like augmented reality where, you look at something and it immediately search for it or whatever. You could set it up to do that. They never really mass produced them and they never really took off. But if they had something like that kind of like mirrored on the outside so light didn't get in, but then, screens on the inside and those graphics were good. I think we're talking about a whole different story with metaverse and those virtual reality games and stuff. And then part 2 is, the battery on those is tough. It's you got your Wi-Fi constantly if you have headphones, Bluetooth. Then you got your controllers that connect wirelessly. The wireless technology, like the wireless power it needs, is already huge. And then you have basically 2 monitors that you're looking into, and then you're streaming all that data. I mean, that's a ton of power needed. And I think the Quest that I have only lasts about an hour. So, which I think is probably for the best, but and then it takes a few hours to charge back up. I can't play for at least a half hour just to get, or like pump it back on for at least a half hour and have more than 10%. So queue in Innovix with their smaller, higher density, cooler, so it doesn't overheat, cooler and fast charge technology. Then we're cooking with gas. If you can get that in there, I mean, was that 0 to 80% in 5 minutes? Yeah, take that all day. Then that changes the game, and then headsets are better, and maybe the metaverse can have a resurgence. But for now, pretty sure all that stuff is at a standstill, which is fine. I mean, that happens. I think I've gone on long enough. I guess the last thing I'll say is, that was the other one I wanted to touch on, is AMC. Rumor out that Amazon wants to buy AMC, but of course they left out a fine detail, is that Amazon talked about buying IMC as a distressed asset, meaning when, it's just a matter of time, because their CEO is a dummy and they're run like crap, when they're financially ruined, which is probably soon, that's when Amazon would come in. Not now. Not at I don't even know what the valuation is. I'm probably going to be disgusted by this. 2.6 billion. That's fine. Whatever. The real estate alone, I guess, is probably worth half that. But Amazon, that was the key thing that was left out of the headline, was as a distressed asset. So not now. Anyways, AMC was up, I think, at 20%, closed up 11. And what's funny, it's not funny, it makes total sense, is that on that news, Amazon just went straight down from 97, lost a buck and a half off that news, and then kind of stabilized and came back up because portfolio rebalancing. I'm sure people want Amazon on their books going into Q2 and to show that they're holding it. So, I mean, and it's also a BS headline because they're not going to do it until AMC's pennies on the dollar, not a 2.6 billion. Obviously, Amazon can afford it, but I mean, that's a drop in the bucket for them. They're riddled with debt and they're not getting out from under it, and they'll probably do a couple more raises and people will still buy into it because it's a meme stock and they don't understand what actual company viability means. So when this thing goes down to 50 cents and then they can buy it for 500 million, they'll do that. And then that debt doesn't look so, or they file, and then Amazon doesn't have to worry about the debt part of it. They just buy out all the actual theaters, and then they can really sell their prime in there, which would be cool. God, now I'm ranting. Which would be cool if they did that, but then like released instead. So it's, I think the issue with a lot of movie theaters, like they only do new releases, and if the new releases suck, no one's going. No one's going to the movies, which makes sense. Product's not good. Why do I want to buy the product? But they started coming, like, I don't understand why more. There's a movie theater in Chicago, Music Box, I think, that will show old movies, like old classics, or like even semi-recent classics, or it's like the 20th anniversary of Titanic. They'll re-release it in the theaters, and those get big draws. Why don't they do that? Like if Top Gun every year did a week in the theaters, back in the theaters, I bet a ton of people would go. Do it right around 4th of July, probably make it a little more patriotic. I mean, do it 1 week only. You don't have to run it for 6 months and everybody gets sick of it. I just think the whole strategy behind theaters is kind of short-sighted. I think Amazon could take advantage of that and, do Prime movie releases, or even do this one just popped in my head. I don't think it, who knows, people are funny. Whatever, I don't even know what original series they have, but what if they just binged? All right, we're going to show season 1 all day today. Come on in. That'd be hilarious, actually. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. And yeah, expect more chop all week. Some unexpected. Right when the market looks like it's about to fall off a cliff or it's about to rip faces off, expect it to just stall and then slowly reverse this week until Friday morning and PCE comes out, and then we should get some serious movement. Until then, be safe. I'll see you guys tomorrow at this time, and hit subscribe, tell your friends, and thanks for all the new followers, and we'll keep building this thing from the ground up, and hopefully we can all do it together. All right.